There is a problem in the male self-improvement space, and that is the promotion of going gym, bodybuilding, over combat sports in almost every situation by almost every influencer. What's up, guys? I'm Jacob Bertram. Welcome back to Modern Masculinity. And today I want to talk about why combat sports are better than going gym for men looking to get on self-improvement. First, quick defining factor, I see combat sports as basically, I'm going to give a few here, but it's not limited to these. When I say combat sports, I'm thinking of things like Muay Thai, like Dutch kickboxing, mixed martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo. Let me know if I've forgotten any, but there's really, to be clear here, a distinction between a martial art and a combat sport. And the distinction, I think, is the focus on damage. If a martial system, let's call it that, is focused on doing damage and doesn't have any room for kind of vague concepts and forms like kata and karate or just tai chi type stuff, then I believe it is a combat sport. Whereas when it makes room for these more kind of symbolic, ritualistic movements, I think it's a martial art. That's a tangent, but back to the topic of the video. Combat sports, in my opinion, beat out going gym for men getting on self-improvement for three main reasons that I have journaled down here. And those reasons are: combat sports give you the ability to protect yourself and your family, and fighting is innately and primally masculine, more than anything else, really. And combat sports give you a more aesthetic physique than gym does, at least in my opinion. So let's get into that first point, that combat sports give you the ability to protect yourself and your family. I'm going to be talking about each of these in comparison to gym, each of these kind of aspects, so that you guys can understand why combat sports are better. The first reason that combat sports can teach you to defend yourself and your family is perhaps the most obvious. Going to the gym and doing frickin' bench presses and squats does not teach you how to fight, whereas combat sports do. While each combat sport may teach different aspects, may focus on different aspects of self-defense or combat, be that striking, grappling, or wrestling, and these are distinguished in my view. So striking is stuff like kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling. So striking is everything standing up. Wrestling is going from standing up to being on the ground. So that includes things like wrestling and judo. And then grappling in its purest form, in my view, is stuff like basically just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, groundwork stuff. But regardless of which type of martial art you learn, I'm more of a striker myself. I enjoy like kickboxing, Muay Thai. It still gives you a massive advantage over the average person in a one-on-one unarmed combat situation. Gym simply doesn't do that. But why is it important to be able to fight as a man on self-improvement? Well, I think it's pretty self-evident. One of the main tenets of male self-improvement is that men have the duty and the privilege to protect those they love. How can you do this if you don't know how to stare another man in the eyes and be able to, no holds barred, fight him and eliminate the threat if he is threatening you or your family? Now, of course, I hear the commenters saying, well, just get a gun, bro. It's like, well, wouldn't you want to know combat sports and also be trained in knife combat and firearms? It's best to have all of these things, right? And combat sports are one aspect of this kind of combat training that I believe men need if they're on self-improvement. So, that's my first reason. My second reason is that fighting is innately and primally masculine. Now, when I was a kid, I remember I used to wrestle with my friends on the playground. I would wrestle with my dad. It was just stuff that was, innately enjoyable. I mean, to be real, I was a bit of a pussy. If I would get hit too hard, I'd start crying. But as soon as I started doing kickboxing about 8-10 months ago, instantly I was like, it clicked, you know? So fighting is innately and primally masculine. I know when I'm sparring and someone like hits me a little too hard, now I'm not advocating for hard sparring, but if someone hits me a little too hard, I bite down on my mouth guard and I feel this innate sense of like masculine rage. Of course, I don't actually fully take it out. I control it because, I want to keep the sparring light and technical. I don't want brain damage or debilitating injury. I want to be able to continue training. But that's all that goes to say, that fighting brings out these deep-rooted feelings within us. And I think to be able to express those deep-rooted feelings in a safe, controlled environment is priceless, and there's no other real way to do it. Men in the modern world use video games to try to replicate this. They use shooting a gun at a firing range to try to replicate this, but really nothing beats staring another man in the eye and just fighting him. It's that base level of combat, right? Because before humans, figured out that you can throw rocks at people and beat each other with sticks, it was all hand-to-hand combat. It's the most primal thing for us as men. And the final reason, and this may be the most controversial of my takes so far, is that combat sports actually have the potential to give you a much more aesthetic physique than bodybuilding. Now, I say aesthetic in terms of, I'm not just talking about aesthetics, I'm talking about a good physique. A physique that is functional, aesthetic, and attractive to the opposite sex. I think fighting, if you do the right combat sport, does this. I think the combat sports that probably do this best are striking martial arts because of all that cardio. You're burning fat if you're doing boxing or kickboxing or Muay Thai. But I also think that wrestling can do this. Jiu-jitsu, I don't know. I mean, what I like to do is I look in the locker room at the gym I train at when the dudes take their shirts off. No homo, but I'm looking at like, okay, so these guys do striking. So I look at myself and the other guys who mainly do striking. We're like, okay, we have some muscle mass. We're lean. If you look at the wrestlers, they definitely have they have more muscle mass than strikers, but they have more fat on their body as well, because for striking you want to stay as light as possible to be able to be fast and have quick reaction time. And I personally also think that combat sports just give you a more aesthetic physique in general, because it's a physique that is optimized for a specific function. What function does a bodybuilding physique perform? None. No natural human function is aided by bodybuilding. You can make an argument for strong men. It's like, oh, well, they could have carried heavy stuff back in the day. Fair enough. But that's a very simple task. Whereas having a physique that is attuned to fighting would be of an immense aid in the animal kingdom. And the last reason is that it's just more attractive. Combat sports gives you a more attractive physique. From the videos I've seen, from the studies I've seen, women tend to prefer that lean, kind of muscular physique. This is something that Mario Rios goes into in much more detail and much better detail than I ever could, because it's not my specialty, so I defer you to Mario Rios' various videos on aesthetic bodybuilding. But his take is essentially the same as mine, and it's that combat sports gives you a better physique than bodybuilding. Another part to this is going further into the function of the combat sports physique. It not only helps you perform doesn't necessarily just help you perform fighting, help you fight. It also helps you do basically high intensity interval training type of stuff, depending on your martial art, right? For strikers, it's going to be that cardio. Like I have pretty fucking good cardio to the point that going on a run doesn't even get me my cardio burnt out anymore. I literally have to like hit pads hard at the gym in order to feel anything. But then for wrestlers, it's like there's just an insane strength. Same for jiu-jitsu guys, and it's not like a strength in certain isolation or compound movements. It's real functional strength. Strength that works no matter what position the body is in. Doesn't have to be an exact sitting or lying down position, which is kind of the situation you'd get if you're at a squat rack or sitting down on like a hack squat or doing bench press or whatever. So, all that to conclude, combat sports is better than gym for men on self-improvement. I think I've demonstrated my points quite well. If you enjoyed the video, do all the YouTube algorithm things to help get me out there. If you've watched a few of my videos, then consider hitting that subscribe button. I don't necessarily see it as like I'm gonna hit 500 subscribers. I just see it as a measure of what kind of success my channel is seeing and where I should take the direction of the channel in. I don't necessarily just use it as like a flex number, right? But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Jacob Bertram from Modern Masculinity. Peace out.